Right now, I am going to take the server down for a upgrade. It's a graphics card upgrade because I want to turn this machine into my Steam in-home streaming server. So I'll have something that's always on and something that's ready to use, and I'm ready to, just play a game, and I don't have to be at my computer desk. So what we'll need to do is shut down the computer. After I type in the bloody password. Now, here's the thing. The server's been up for 74 days. No problems, no blue screens. Right now, that's all about to end. Now we're going to shut it down. You'll probably be able to see all the lights starting to flash as everything's shutting down. Of course, that's the main drive there. Well, first we got to go ahead and remove the screws. So there's 4 on each side, so I gotta go ahead and do that. Then we'll slide the cover off. I think I showed a video of this already, but quick walk around. Got 5 hard drives in it so far. This is a 12 hard drive system. As you can see, there's 2 exhaust fans. I don't have the high flow one installed yet, but when I do, I'll just install it there. That one's just using a basic, roll-to-roll one. That one's using a Cooler Master one, which is kicking some ass in terms of cooling. 450 watt power supply. That was the power supply used on my original build 3 years ago, and it is still kicking. Intel Core 2 Duo processor. Dual, 80 mils for exhaust. And you got the graphics card, which is a 7770 XFX Thermal Ghost Edition, whatever. And that's what's going to be doing all the graphics processing. And now we're going to add the final piece, which I hope resolves the issue, and that is the quad-core processor. This dual-core processor is getting overwhelmed, so I'm going to hope that's what the issue is, and then I can go ahead and play some games without getting stuttery frames. And there's the processor right there. The case actually looks fresh on here because I did an upgrade, or I moved this to a new board during the beginning of the summer. So that's why the paste actually still looks fresh. I want to clean that up before I put it in the box here. But I'm going to go ahead and get that out of here. Then we're going to go ahead and install the Intel. Come on, clear up. Focus, focus. There we go, Intel Q6600. And I believe this is at 2.4 gigahertz with 8 megabytes of cache, and it is a 1066 megahertz frontside bus. I hope this will work in this board because I read the specs and it did say that this will run a Q6600 processor. So let's go ahead and get her done. Alright, well, one thing I like about the guy that sent me this is he cleaned it. I don't have to do all the cleaning up. I've had processors where the paste was still on there and I had to clean it up, and since it was like caked on, sometimes I needed some kind of a tool to actually start scraping some of the, when you do that, you mess up the actual cooling. You decrease the cooling efficiency because you scratch into the metal, and the metal is pretty much the heat sink for the processor. So let me go ahead. We're going to pop this out, and we're going to install this right on camera. Yes, we are. Now, how to install a processor. You can basically learn for this video. Now, let's sit this down. We want to make one note. The pins are now on the motherboard. They're no longer on the processor. So keep that in mind. You don't want to bend any pins or you'll have to take out the entire motherboard. Now, if you look on the socket itself, there should be like a little notch or a corner. On this, I don't see it, to be honest with you. Get the camera down in there a little bit more. Because there's only one way this will fit in, and you don't want to force fit it if it doesn't. Or what they say, if it doesn't fit, don't force it. So usually there's a little arrow that's pointing out, letting you know how to install the processor. But since I know or remember how I installed this, I'm going to install it the way I remember pulling it out. So, I remember the actual black label down here pointing down, actually, if it was installed, it would be pointing this way. So that's the way I'm going to install the processor. And the arrow is pointing this way. So again, one way to install this, only one way to install it. Uh-oh, I don't have the correct orientation. Quad core processor, pretty nice. Let's go ahead and drop that in. And as you can see, it just pops right in. Just want to give it a little bit of a wiggle, make sure there's no like it's not flopping or anything. Because if a processor feel like it's not in all the way, then don't push down on it hard. Take it out and try again. So now that we are sure that it's down, we're gonna close that. Hold on just a second. No, it's in. It's in. I thought it wasn't all the way in. And now we're gonna put down the locking arm. Only if it was that easy to install the heatsink, but Intel decided not to take AMD's approach and have basically one latch locking system. Oh yeah, and let's go ahead, put the Core 2 Duo in here, and that'll be getting sold on eBay because I don't think I'll have any use for it. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get our thermal compound and install that also, because that'll be bad if you just put the heatsink on. Oh yeah, also clean the bottom of your heatsink off. Please do that. So I'll do that right now, and then put the thermal compound on the processor. Doctor, give me 3 cc's of Arctic Silver 5. Coming right up. The exposure is just out of hand with this camera. Do not buy the HTC M7 for the camera because it doesn't really work that well. So it's recommended a P size, and that's PEA, not PEE. Hold on. Because when you put the heatsink on, it's just going to press all of that down, and it's going to spread across the entire processor. It's basically liquid metal, so to speak, that expands when it's pressed to provide that seal between the heatsink bottom and the processor so it can properly cool. Processor upgrade should not take 15 minutes, and it took me 15 minutes just to get this heatsink on properly because it's the Intel pushpin bullcrap that you have to deal with these. Now, if I would have got an aftermarket one, I would have to take the entire board out of the system just to put the cooler back on it because they need a back plate. So yeah, I don't know what happened. Back in the day, you used to have just regular Phillips screws you would unscrew and they would be spring loaded, but nope, not anymore. You got plastic push pins which will break if you put them on wrong. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and button this thing up and see if it starts up and doesn't overheat on me. We are logging into the server right now. It is running Windows 7, but it's got server services running on it, so no need for one of those expensive enterprise licenses. We're not using RDP, we're using TeamViewer because RDP will lock you out if you're not connected to the computer if you're using this as a Steam in-home streaming server like I am. Takes a second for the video transmission to actually get over to me. So we'll kill the feed here. It did log in because it's telling me that the outdated TeamViewer on the server is outdated and it needs to be updated. So let's go see if we have quad cores. Here we go. Here we go. And we do. We have quad cores. Wonderful. Oh, so wonderful. Alright. let's go check temperatures and everything. We're gonna go ahead and bring up core temp. Come on, you can do her. It's still loading everything. We're still on the 7200 RPM desktop drive as our boot. I do have a 10,000 RPM SATA drive that I'm thinking about reinstalling inside of the server, or putting back in service. It was my desktop drive for a long time ago, one of those Western Digital Velociraptor drives, which are very dependable and they're very quiet for what they can do. And it's installing a device driver. Installing what? What device driver is this thing installing? The device driver for the Q6600 quad-core processor. Okay, maybe it needed some sort of microcode update or something. I don't know. But it needs a restart. It needs another restart. But the temperatures are a little bit worrying. We're not even doing anything. We're at 124 degrees, 126. I'm a little bit worried about that because once I start slamming it, it's going to be a problem. We are on a stock heatsink, but actually, I'm going to turn on speed fan because the fan right now is being managed by the server or the BIOS. So I'm going to put on speed fan. It should knock down some of these temperatures. We are running at full performance. A restart is required, but I'm glad to see that it is working, but the temperatures are a little bit scary. They should be around, I would say, 105, 100, doing nothing right now. Maybe the server is still loading some things, and maybe that's why. Yep, and I have to restart, so I'm going to go ahead and restart. But at least I know it's working. Well, this is the server room. If you remember this from before, everything was on the floor, there were wires, there were shelves, and it was horrible. Well, this is the shelf and the server, and I even got a front plate for that darn thing, so now it's not, just kind of naked on the front. So you can tell it's been quite a long time since I worked on the Steam and Home Streaming project, and here's the server. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. So you're probably wondering, oh man, it's got to have a video card in there. How's it working? Is it working great? Nope, it's not working. The project got scrapped because I was having issues with it, Steam and home streaming. Steam and home streaming requires quite a bit of hardware, and not low end hardware either. And when I was running it on here, there were days where it felt like, okay, I'm going to play fine. I'm going to play at 30, 40, 60 frames per second. And then there were days where it's like, nope, I don't want to play. Fine, I don't care, you know, and it'll play the game at 15 frames per second. I'd be getting packet loss, and then, you know, frame loss, and then, you know, frames that go back up and then drop back down. It wasn't the network, it was the actual video hardware. I think the 7970 couldn't do double duty, because when you have Steam and home streaming, your card has to stream a video out, so it's got to like decode and then stream a video out over the network. So your network card's working, your processor's trying to send that hunk of data over the network, and then your processor, then the video card itself is doing some rendering. It's, you know, rendering the video that you're playing. So it can't do double duty. So if you're going to do Steam and home streaming project, use good hardware. Use a dedicated network card. Use a really good GPU, something around the 7970 R9 280X-ish kind of a spec system for you NVIDIA fans. I don't know. I don't use NVIDIA cards just because I've been AMD. No, I like NVIDIA, but NVIDIA's got problems with some of their cards with my system, so I can't really play with NVIDIA cards because I'm having problems with it. But anyway, I'm getting off subject. You need pretty good hardware, 4 gigs of RAM, dedicated system. Don't use a server that like mine. This system has too much on its plate. It's doing a backup right now. It's doing like recordings and conversions and all that kind of stuff. So don't use a server and then give it another purpose. Once a server has its purpose or purposes, don't give it something like Steam and home streaming. It can't handle it, and it won't handle it unless it's like a Xeon with 8 cores and hyper-threading and whatever. I don't... So that was my problem, and the money that required, I didn't have it. I mean, I had it, but I have to pay bills too. So I just opted to take all the hardware, or at least the video card, out of this system, scrap the project, and the Media Center PC is now the system that has the video card. So this system still has the dual-core processor and, you know, 2 gigs of RAM, but it plays fine, and the Xbox 360 controller is still working fine. And I'm playing. Actually, let me just show you some of the games I have on here. Watching this old house. That is a trainer for people who cheat. So I got Dead Rising on here, games. You know. So yeah, it plays all these games fine with 2 gigs of RAM. So goes to show you how efficient Windows has gotten over the years. You couldn't do that with Windows Vista, because Windows Vista needs 2 gigs of RAM in order for it to run. I got Steam on it. So the systems, it's been quite busy, and this Media Center PC is doing quite well. I've gotten blue screens with it, but only with emulators, because emulators break everything. But other than that, no general blue screens. The system's been rock solid. Like I said in the other video, this system runs better than all my other computers because it's got the least amount of hardware, so it's got the least amount of problems. So anyway, that is it. Steam and home streaming project did get scrapped. I had too many problems with it. It was all over the place, and it just wasn't giving me that satisfactory, smooth playback that I was looking for, that smooth 30 frames per second. It was like 10, 15, 30, back down to 15, up to 40, back down to 10. It was like the stock market, but you know, it was all over the place. You never know if you were going to have a good score or a bad score. So that's it. That is it. Steam and home streaming project, I would recommend you do it with something better than what I just did. I don't know what this video is going to teach anybody, but if you're watching it, just go with hardware, spend the money, and maybe it was something I set up wrong. Correct me if I had my settings wrong. Correct me if I missed something. Correct me if I need to buy the top-end, you know, network cable. The network cable I'm using, it's gigabit cable. It's not the most high quality in the world, but I wasn't getting that much packet loss either. Not that much packet loss that caused serious artifacts. Actually, I didn't get any artifacts. I was just getting poor performance, like I was running on a Pentium 4. So That was really the problem. So get good hardware when you're doing this, and you will have a successful Steam and home streaming server. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned for any of my upcoming videos and tutorials, and I don't know when I'll have another video out, because I'm really not, I'm kind of busy right now. It's the end of the year, so I got things coming up, and actually I got a new job, so I'm transitioning from working at home to, I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss it, but, money's got to be made. So anyway, thanks for watching. You guys have a good one.